Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. How are you, Mocha?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. It's always nice to talk with you, Mocha. Somebody's
Thanks for
already
having
saying,
me.
somebody's already talking about something. I don't know what they're talking about in the chat there. So I had you on today because a lot happened this weekend. A lot
Mhm.
with Toronto police. A lot has happened with ourselves and Rebel News and Toronto Police lately. For your Turkish fans that are gonna, I see one already. We're gonna get to talk about Turkish things, so don't worry if you're feeling left out while we're talking about Canadian things. The first thing I want to talk about, Mocha, is some of the things that happened this weekend in Toronto. So we're gonna go ahead and do some screen sharing here right now, so that everybody can see. And we're here on your Twitter now.
Yeah.
For those of you who haven't seen it yet, Mocha was there recording at Yonge and Dundas Square over the weekend where there was a protest. And before, as you can see, a lot of stuff about to happen there with police. But before we even get to that, I want to share with everybody what Toronto Police has been saying as of late. So first off, the other day, you can see the date on Thursday, just a few days ago. Toronto Police put out this press release that had people thinking that things were going to get a little bit better. They put out this press release. I just have that screen so you can see that it's official. Here's what they said, and I want to focus on a few paragraphs here. So recently, Ontario went into a stay-at-home order, which is like a harsh lockdown, but it's not an official legislation or law. It's just an order. Basically, they're requesting that people stay at home. So here's what it says. No element of any order provides the police with either the power to enter dwellings nor the authority to stop a vehicle for the singular purpose of checking compliance with the stay-at-home order. In addition, individuals are not compelled to explain why they are out of their residence, nor is being outside prima facie, which is a legal term, evidence of a failure to comply with the stay-at-home order. Workers are also not required to have proof from their employer that they're traveling to or from their workplace. Now, that was a lot of the rumors that were going around, that they'd be stopping people, asking where they're going, if they have evidence of that they're going to work, if they actually work at the place, or if they're leaving their house for reasons that they don't see fit. So that was good news. But even if you go to the next paragraph, you'll see some stuff that isn't good news. Officers will focus on enforcement efforts on restaurants and businesses not compliance with the closures. And then to top that off, they put out a public statement that said basically protests are no longer allowed. Participating in large gatherings, including protests, is not just in contravention of these orders, but also puts attendees and the broader community at risk. So on one hand, they don't want to follow the order, but also protesting is not really allowed. And I'm going to play this first clip, Mocha, of you getting strong armed grabbed by the police, and you let me know
Sure.
what happened here.
Yeah.
So go ahead, tell us what's
So
going on
yeah, I
here.
have my own footage too. They approached me. I was just standing there, tweeting what I recorded, and then these four police officers approached me, and one of them grabbed my arm and then squeezed it. Do you want to get arrested? He asked me. I said no, and then he pushed me away like that, and I backed off because I don't want to get arrested. I'm not interested in that. But I was. This was the, I think, second attempt where they tried to arrest me. In total, they tried to arrest me 3 times, um, and I continually went onto the public square because it's my bloody right to do so. Now there has been some debate whether that square is public or private, because the police was called, like with the megaphone, came up to my face and said, "You have to leave or you will be arrested for trespassing." So, and I'm not. I'm a member of press. I'm there to document what's going on. They are grabbing protesters randomly. First, they ask them their identification, and they refuse to give it because they want to give them fines. And when they refuse to give their identification, they say, "Oh, you're under arrest," and then they grab him or her, and then just take him away. And they won't let anyone near to record what's going on. They would take them away. And as a journalist, I think it's important for me to walk with the police to ensure that this person is not being maltreated. You know what I mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
who's watching the watchers?
Yeah, a
And
lot of people were being arrested, as you can see yesterday. You uploaded a lot of good footage if people want to follow you on Twitter at Bezirgan Mocha. There, you can see it there. Lots of protesters being arrested. And how many police do you think were there, Mocha?
about 100.
So
Not only in that square though, in Queen's Park, in Nathan Phillips Square, in John Tory's house, in their own police division I think 52, no 55, I don't remember, where Kellyanne Wolf was being held. And then they set up barricades too, and then all the escorting the protesters on the street. It's huge resources. I have seen a huge police coach bus and a couple unmarked vans full with police officers. So it's huge, a lot of resources being
as
spent.
we go through, here's where they're threatening you with the fine. They've got all these special markers on there, and like I pointed out in their press release, there, protesting. Here's another guy who's on the floor, and
that guy was just standing there. His back was turned. They just walk and then randomly pick protesters, ask them their ID. They refuse to give because they don't want to be ticketed, and then they just grab them and walk away. This guy didn't do nothing wrong, and David interviewed him. This guy walked all provinces in Canada for mental health, to bring awareness. And you can hear him screaming, saying, I have mental health issues, I have anxiety. And he was previously injured, because that's what he told us. When the police arrested Kellyanne Wolf from the stage, they also were picking up the equipments, and one of the audio equipments fell into some part of his body, and he was yelling, "You already injured me this morning."
Yeah, you can hear the guy yelling here. He talks about he has Tourette's, he has anxiety, has all these other different things going on, and they're still arresting him.
They didn't. They came to the sidewalk and picked him up. It's not like he was on the square. You can see it from the video. Kellyanne Wolf right there. He's not on the square. That's the sidewalk. Does the Eaton Center also own the sidewalk? What's going on here? Because this is very important. It has to be crystal clear. Is that private property or public property?
As far as I know, it's public property because you're allowed to film there and you're allowed to do news stories there. That's what I learned when I've looked up on their information on their website going there. Now, so not only are we seeing the protest organizers being arrested, which they could make an argument, and they've done this in Australia, where they say you're organizing something that's supposed to be illegal, which is a gathering, so we're going to arrest you. But just the very act of being part of protesters, and you've got a lot of great footage here. Here's another one. This one looks pretty crazy.
She didn't harm anyone. She was just standing there, and I have the footage. We will release a big video at Rebel News YouTube channel, and you will see there all these arrests were unprovoked.
This is like 25 cops. 25 cops tackling this lady. Let's see if we can go back to the beginning here.
Yeah, and that lady wears a sign that says private property. One male rushes to her help. I don't know if he's a relative of her. That's what promotes all the police overreaction. And if police overreacts to this, these officers, they're a danger to the public. I'll tell you that.
So yeah, on rebelnews.com, you can find all of the, I know Dave and Ezra and Mocha's tweets are all in there. And it's just a crazy producer. Efron's in there too, you guys. We can go to his Twitter as well. Take a look at him. And you guys were all there. This is a different angle of more people showing up.
Yeah,
and
they started marching after they were dispersed from the square.
Yeah, so not only do we have businesses being shut down, we now have protests and people's just right to congregate within their free will. That's being taken away. and that's just crazy to me as well. Now, Mocha, before we move on to the next topic, you want to tell a lot of your Turkish fans there that we will get to them. We will get to their questions and their comments.
For sure.
We'll talk about Turkey.
For sure, we will.
The second thing I wanted to talk about was something that one of my first videos with Rebel News, Mocha, and we can just let this play while we talk here.
Mm-hmm.
So what ended up happening is we went to Nathan Phillips Square. As you can see, all these tents there, and this is David Menzies talking. You can see footage of us in the top corner. We went to Nathan Phillips Square to interview protesters who had taken up a tent city in the middle of City Hall. So this is public property. You're not allowed to live there. Even though they did put porta potties out for them, mobile bathrooms for them. And here's the mayor of Toronto saying that it was our fault that things happened. As you can see, things got completely out of hand. They assaulted us. They assaulted you. They assaulted me. They yelled at us. This particular guy attacked us. There I am while you were getting attacked. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because you and I were there. And not only did the city of Toronto mask the identities of all these protesters who were violent, who were hostile, who were committing illegal acts by living on public property. The reason why I brought this background to myself is, as we watch people, our friends and our coworkers get attacked, this guy misses, hilariously enough. But, Mocha, and I don't know if this is mentioned in the video or not, I don't think so, that our security for the day actually ratted us out. And that's why I wanted to talk about this most of all. Besides the fact that this is one of the many things that the city of Toronto is doing horrible, where they're taking the side of these protesters and they're making documents about us. We had to get them through a Freedom of Information Act. In Canada, it's slightly different, but generally known as a Freedom of Information request. There's their signs, abolish policing. But they didn't particularly know who a person like you or I am. They know who David Menzies is. They know who Ezra Levant is. They know who the lawyer, Aaron Rosenberg, is. They don't particularly know who you or I am. You coming from another country,
but
and
they,
me having...
nonetheless, they put effort to know what was your name, and they contacted the security agency.
Yes. No. As far as I know, it was the security guards that were there with us that did a terrible job that literally narked us out. So the security gave my name to police, to City Hall police, not even real police. So City Hall security guards. I don't know if they're technically police or not, but they're City Hall security. And Mocha, what do you remember about that day where the security is telling you that you're instigating everything?
Yeah, I was in disbelief because we came to the square to interview the protesters, and like the moment we approached the encampment, one of the individuals already wearing a mask, but he's also hiding his face with his hand, trying to block the camera and telling you to leave, as if he owns the square. And and John Tory says, "Oh, it's a public square, anyone can be there, anyone can do journalism." Well, that's a lie, and it's evident in this video. And then another individual approaches, "What are you guys doing here?" And then he pushes my camera away twice. It's unprovoked violence, and the City Hall security is siding with them, and they're calling them peaceful protesters. That's not peaceful. We were peaceful. They were not peaceful. That's not peaceful.
And here's the video on my Streeter channel, Andrew does, if you guys are wondering. I don't know. I'm not even subscribed to my own channel. How do you feel about that? I just subscribed now. So here's the other version where we see our full interaction with them. And these are guys chasing you around with cameras in your face. This person's extremely dirty fingernails, if we want to stop there. That had a lot of comments on that.
Yeah. I wonder what their political opinions are.
And it's crazy. So we have this guy right here who is their main social media personality, I want to say, because he does a lot of their talking. He does a lot of their posting to social media. They have this woman who is, I think, one of their leaders. They're led by a few Black and Native women whom, when I tried to have a conversation with these people, whether that's on whether it made it on camera or not, just tell me what your position is, and maybe, who knows, I'll side with you. This woman refused to have a conversation, and when it came down to it, she said it doesn't matter because you're on stolen land anyway. And what her claim is that one of her ancient tribe, and we can talk about this fool later who tried to attack people and threaten me as well. But her claim is that the Anishinaabe, I believe it's called, tribe is the rightful owner of the land in Toronto, in southern Ontario, and there it is right here. So this is the map that she's claiming that we should still be abiding by. As you can see, it's at least 8 different tribes. And this doesn't go back 50 years. This doesn't go back 60 years. This goes back 200 years, Mocha. What is the argument here? And we see this all across the world where, you're on stolen land. How do you feel about that argument? How far back do these people want to go? I mean, should we be going back to native people coming across the Bering Strait in the Arctic getting this land? Does that land belong to somebody else? How do we square this argument?
I mean, look, I'll give you an example from Turkey. As you know, Turks came from Mongolia back in, very, very long time ago. And in Turkey, in that region, Andrew, are you here? Where did you go?
I'm still here. I'm just letting everybody hear you. Don't worry.
Right. And in that region, there are many different ethnicities and cultures and, diverse people living. And it's such a long history. Muslims, Christians, Jews, all kind of people lived in that region. And so I have Armenian ancestors, and I wouldn't make the argument to my fellow Turkish friends or Kurdish friends or anybody else that they are on stolen land and I own this land and they have to abide by my rules, what I say. I feel it's divisive. I don't see anything good coming out of that, because they don't go around, there's more to individuals than that, than their race, than their history, than their background. There's always more. They're always unique. And I'm an individualist. So making claims that someone owns that land because they're ancestors and we have to abide by their rules. I mean, come on, it's pretty clear that nobody's abiding by their rules. It's been 200 years. It's like we go to Canadian courts, the ultimate decision making in this country is the government, the government's courts, Canadian government's courts. So right now, it's just not real. What they're saying doesn't reflect reality. Does that make sense?
No, of course it makes sense. And the argument that these people are making in particular, where they're going back, what happened was it's not too complex of a history with these tribes that we're talking about. And again, we can bring that up here on the side if we need to. But what they're talking about here, Mocha, is they're talking about land that, again, is from 8 different tribes. So you can't really say this is all like one tribe. But what happened is they teamed up with a lot of the settlers. My ancestors actually teamed up with some of these people to fight in a war against people from what is now the United States. So it's not like it was always the narrative they want to push where it's a genocide and as if a bunch of these territories weren't at war with them already. I mean, if you go further a little bit north, you've got things like Huron and you've got other tribes that are definitely at war with these people as soon as the mid to late 1700s. So this narrative where the white man, or whatever you want to quantify that as, because I think Spanish is different than French. Even if you want to call them both white, they're vastly different. The idea that it's all black and white like that is completely not historically accurate. And when you talk about them teaming up with French or British or having a war with the French or British, the reality is they lost a war 200 plus years ago, and now all of a sudden to stake a claim to that land is completely ridiculous. It'd be like the Holy Roman Empire, just thinking that all of a sudden now Germany, you're on our land, or Slovakia, you're on our land.
Yeah,
It doesn't make any sense.
it's
As little sense as Russia saying that a bunch of countries that were in the former Soviet Union now belong to them, anyways.
So, but if you were indigenous, if you were one of them, they wouldn't tell you that you were on stolen land, right?
I would think not. Even if I was from a tribe from the Northwest Territories, I don't know. It's hard to get any answers out of these people because they don't want to talk. And when people do talk, they discourage them from speaking because once they get into a legitimate argument, they start to lose, and then all of a sudden, their protest is no longer valid.
Yeah, we came there to have a conversation, and you tried to have a conversation, but they would bring the argument, the conversation to race immediately. Oh, you're a white man, blah, blah, blah. And one of the protesters even approached me and told me, why are you doing this? You're not even white. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I actually live nearby, and I don't want my concern. Look, I live in downtown Toronto, and there is not a single park that I can go to enjoy or send my sister, or just to have a picnic or something. It's not safe. Needles everywhere. Tent cities everywhere, and it's the number of tent cities are going up. And I am losing faith in the conception of public property. It seems like it doesn't mean anything. Basically, it means the politicians own it and they decide it. And if it's a public property, really, now that we saw with COVID-19 restrictions, as you remember, they were taping with police tapes, taping around parks. So I asked my question, and there is a video on Instagram in my profile where I cut the tapes in a swing set. Because if this is public property and I'm a member of the public, I have a say on it. But if it's not a public property, if it's private property, then yeah, okay, I don't have a say on it. But if you're going to collect money from me to maintain this park, then who are you to tell me that I don't have a right to be there?
No, I completely agree. There's a lack of communication between our government and the taxpayer on what is not allowed. And even in the most basic sense, if you look at the Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, when they make these decisions about lockdowns and everything, there's no discussion. There's not even any discussion of what the numbers are. It's just, this is all terrible. We've got to do what your unelected officials say. And by unelected officials, I mean their medical board that they've entrusted, even though a bunch of them have been caught traveling. Hospital CEOs have been caught traveling during this pandemic that they want everyone to be afraid of, but they're willing to do it themselves. There's no, and it would be a different story if things were going really well right now and everybody was happy. You wouldn't be complaining as much about your government, obviously. But when at least half the population is very unhappy with what's going on, there needs to be a certain accountability and transparency, I think.
And yeah, well, and then you have Doug Ford and John Tory telling people to stay home, as if we have other options, like as if we have the option to be in a restaurant or in a public park or in a cinema salon or get our hairs done, or the most basic things that we used to have.
And you can't even protest anymore either.
Exactly. And like you can't even stand on the sidewalk. So, and then they say, oh, well, don't go outside, stay home, save lives. The people's lives are in your hands. This is actually a tweet from Doug Ford. And it just makes you wonder, really, in my hands, people's life? So if I were to go outside, am I really going to be held accountable legally for supposedly risking people's lives? Well, first of all, just like how the concept of innocent until guilty works, the same concept of healthy until proven sick should work. But no, we're doing it the wrong way. We're doing it, everyone is sick until proven healthy. And what you end up with is healthy people who are not risking anyone getting fined or jailed, their lives being destroyed. Oh yeah, sure, Doug Ford, people's lives are in my hands. Well, you're the one who is imposing all these policies that causes increases in mental health issues, suicides, depressions. People's livelihoods are being destroyed. You're not only increasing government spending that will inevitably raise taxes and decrease the value of our currency. You're not only stealing from us now, but you're also stealing from us from our future and the future generations, because they're all also going to pay the price for COVID. We're like, oh yeah, 60,000 jobs have disappeared in the marketplace in Canada. Okay, well, that's just the beginning. This is just the immediate effects. And then there are the effects that will happen later caused by this. So there's a great book by Frederick Bastiat. The name is The Seen and the Unseen. So there is a seen effect of these policies, and then there are the unseen effects. I would encourage anyone who's interested in economics to read that book. So,
okay,
yeah.
Mocha, before we get to some Turkish stuff, let's do a little promotion here. Try to pay the bills. If you guys want to contribute to me, so I can make more YouTube channels. It's tough having a job in the media and then doing our own stuff. So patreon.com/Andrew Says. And of course, I have my show on rebelnews.com/Andrew_says, where you can sign up. And if you use the code Andrew and Avi, which is the last episode, then you'll get 10% off. So rebelnewsplus.com or rebelnews.com/Andrew_says, where you can just find it right there. And again, my Patreon, $1 a month, Mocha. It's not that much. Come on now, everybody. All right. So I'm going to need you to translate some of these. We'll put them on screen. I think I know what Salam Mocha means. I think I know what greetings from Turkey means. Someone says, we're proud of you. I don't know what some of these ones mean. And if they're swear words, go ahead and translate it anyway. I don't care.
Okay. Oh, this guy just says, sir, English.
Okay.
Did I wrote it right?
I don't know. Proud NE.
Yeah,
okay.
No. Oh, yeah, this guy is just trying to make sure that what he wrote in English was correct.
Okay. Here's an English one from Isaiah the Chef, Mocha, and Andrew, my favorites. Love you guys. Keep killing it, boys. Thank you
so
Isaiah.
much.
I'd like to know where you're a chef from. I would like to know that. Here's a long one from Amre Balut. What's that say?
It's the same thing, trying to correct the English of another commentator, I guess.
Oh, my goodness. Can we get a comment that makes sense here, you guys?
Yeah, the same thing again.
What about one word?
Maybe, it says.
Maybe. Okay, so these guys are just having their own conversation, Mocha. Yeah. No matter what we say,
he says, yes, sir, you wrote it right.
Okay, so last time we spoke, we had a lot of questions, or I had a lot of questions about your origins in Turkey, and I wanted to bring up I think this is the correct page from when you were content creator in Turkey. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
that's one of my
there it is. So when I put stuff on Instagram, people say we want Mocha back, we want stuff like that. But we were having a conversation about people who seem to be leftists trash talking you for coming to Canada. Now, tell us a bit about what your decision making was in coming to Canada and leaving. Obviously, this is a big channel. It has tons of, I've seen your stats. It's got tons of views. Why did you decide you wanted to leave Turkey behind when you're a famous guy there? Presumably you've got some sort of income where this is what you do for a living. Why did you want to leave that and come to Canada?
First of all, it was amazing and a lot of fun doing these YouTube videos. They were basically comedy short films, and we were making fun of what we thought would be funny. We were originally making fun of ideologies, Turkism, Islamism, even liberalism, and it's not like we all have the same ideas or ideologies, and then we it's not about that. It's about making fun of it just for the sake of laughs, and get people thinking. And that resonated with many people because we were unique in that concept, because many other YouTubers, they're just recording slime videos, that kind of stuff, and it's boring. And me, around those times, I was in high school, and I became an anti-authoritarian from thanks to my Turkish school there. They wouldn't let me grow my hair. They wouldn't let me wear my wear whatever I want. They want me to wear a uniform, and I opposed that. I didn't cut my hair. I didn't do that. There are like pictures of only me not wearing a uniform while every other student is. And actually, look, I am very lucky. I came to an agreement with the school principal in Turkey in high school, and he said, "Okay, how about this? You produce a video for us that shows our school, and we will let you go. Do whatever you want." Of course, that's illegal agreement, but hey, we did it, and I said, "Yeah, sure." So even though I didn't do any performance work or homeworks or anything, I managed to pass the class while I was doing short films. And because I had this luxury, the time to invest in this YouTube channel, that's how it happened. Because other children, they were all working hard every day, long school hours, homeworks, and all that. Children don't have time to do that kind of stuff. It's a luxury. And the reasoning behind that, to keep children as much as at school, so they won't become crazy people, or deranged, doing their own stuff, putting themselves at risk, partying. Every party that the so-called youth, what was it called, the government branch that is responsible for youth and sports, every party that they do, you're not allowed to bring alcohol, because that kind of mentality that they have. And so from that mentality, they're very opposed to alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, or anything. And they want to control other people's lives. If you're 18 years old in high school in Turkey, even if you're 18 years old, you're not allowed to leave the school until the school ends. There is like a security guard. So it doesn't matter if you consent to be there or not. When you enter that place after 9 a.m., you're going to stay there. You're not allowed to leave. So there is no such thing as personal liberty, respect to individual rights, or anything. No, you will get beaten. You will get, like, I've seen many violence inflicted by teachers and principals, yelling, no respect. It's like everyone treats you like you're a piece of trash. And many students take it and just they think it's normal. But I didn't, because I was here in Canada in first grade in elementary school. I know the difference. I know that teachers shouldn't treat children like that. And basically, the ultimate goal is, for example, in schools. Look, I know this is about the YouTube channel, but this is the history, how what motivated me to create these videos. I'll cut it short now. In Turkey, in schools, it's very same. It's like in military. The first thing they do in military and in school is to stand up straight, in order. The commander tells you to, ready, and then same teacher tells you ready, and it's the same. Everyone stands next to each other in order, and then they all sing the national anthem, and then class by class they went inside, same procedure. And if the best thing that you could do with your life, based on what I observed from the society there, is to become a military member, a soldier, or a police officer. These are the sacred jobs. They value that very much. And like, you can see them whenever a police violates someone's rights in Turkey, just go to the comment sections if the video is posted on Instagram, Facebook, or whatever, or even the media. They always, all the time, side with the police, most people, against the person whose rights are being taken away. For example, a person who's not wearing a mask outside, outdoors. The police will come there, drag her, beat her, give her a ticket. They would just do it because they have quotas to fill. And if she gives them trouble and argues that she doesn't want to wear a mask, you will see in the comment sections, oh, what a terrible human being, giving trouble to our policeman. God bless our policeman, our soldiers. And there are footages of Turkish soldiers committing war crimes against individuals. Those videos surfaces on the internet, and usually people don't get offended by, oh, what is our soldiers are doing. Some people cheer for it, while other people say, yeah, this is the power of Turks, the power of this, power of that. It's fanaticism. You have Islamic fanatics, you have Turkic fanatics. Everyone is like a statist. And, it proves very well. The more the state grows in Turkey, the more people get fanatic about it. And the more they obey, the more the value of the currency decreases for some reason. Because the more the free market evaporates.
That's some crazy differences you're talking about in the schools, for example. And I just wanted to show again your page there. As you can see, this is by the most popular videos. Mm-hmm. And I understand there's other guys on it, but the most popular ones have your face on them. So what I wanted to ask about all of this is what we talked about before was how a lot of the people, when I posted something about you on Reddit, there's not a lot, obviously, it's like 4 or 5 people. They seem to be talking the way that you're talking, like he shouldn't have left. And you're saying that there's a lot of political Islam there, and people called you alt-right, of course, with no examples. But how does that get squared? What is it like? What are the political parties like in Turkey? And were you mentioned to me that you were one of the first people, or the first person, to bring over that type of comedy to Turkey. So yeah. When you were doing the schooling and they said, make this video for us and we'll let you continue to do it, were you already really popular at that point? Were they having trouble controlling you because you've gotten this popularity, or was it after that?
Well, I was somewhat popular, but it didn't happen at one point. It just grew and grew and grew, doubled every month or so, and it became crazy. I couldn't walk on the street. Every time I went outside, at least 10 people randomly would, hey, you're that kid, can I take a picture? And this became like, even if I return now, I'm sure it will continue, because for 3 years it continued. And it was such huge popularity. My Instagram blew up, my Facebook account, my YouTube account, and it was a lot of fun. But at the same time, I always try to remind myself, okay, don't be tricked by this, by popularity. And I am actually a private person. It's like I am not comfortable talking to people that I don't know, and unless I have to. And I am not comfortable hearing people saying nice things to me, because, and for me, it was great. Thank you for everyone for showing love. I would go to a Starbucks, they would give me a free coffee, the guy would know me. At the airport, the police would be like, oh, welcome back to the country. Great, great. I have great memories, never had an issue, except with the government. Because in Turkey, it's very, very easy for someone to report you to the state, and you would have to show up at the police station to refute or to plead guilty. And that's what happened to me twice. And it happened many, many times to my other comedian friends. And
you want to give an example of what somebody complained about you for, and what you had to say?
yeah, there's this video where I criticize extremist ideologies. Um, and in one of our video, there's this drug dealer who is selling ideologies as a drug. That's the metaphor. And the kid gets the drug, and then he feels dizzy, and then he becomes an anti-Islamist activist. And then he walks on the road, and then he sees three normal Muslim walking together peacefully to the mosque. And then he sees them, and then he goes like, "Oh, you fucking radicals! You're here to radicalize. You go back to the Middle East, blah blah blah." You know, all the talking points. And the guy's like, "Hey, why are you doing this to us? Like, we're just walking to the mosque." Wow, they're shocked. And then the kid sees a Kurdish person asking for address, and then the kid goes off, "Oh, you Kurds, you're never gonna divide Turkey. Go back to, you don't have rights, blah blah blah." All the other talking points. You know, it's like ideological talking points. And the guy's in shock because he's not what he thinks he is. What the person who's high on ideology thinks that he is. And although I am nowhere, I'm not a pro-Islamist guy. I am not even Muslim. I was Muslim and then I quit. I don't like the religion or the ideology. But I know not every Muslim is the same, and I know that people have a right to practice their religions as long as they don't trample upon other people's rights. You know, so that's the purpose of the video.
So somebody complains about your video to the police?
Basically, the complaint was causing hatred among public and insulting religious beliefs. Whereas I was actually standing up for religious freedom and basically creating a short film that was showing how extremism is not healthy, how, you know, being sucked in an ideology is not healthy. That was my whole purpose. I didn't do it for purposes of hate, and it's very clear. And in the beginning of the video, I say this video, like a written warning, this video, the intention of this video is humor. And that's what I did. Nobody got hurt. Nobody, the comment section, people love it. Nobody got, you know, like nobody would watch that and then go like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill." Like, come on.
So what happens from that point? Do the police call you and tell you need to come in, or
Yes.
how does that?
If I wouldn't go, they would bring me by force. So I went to the police station, and I was very angry because, like, why would I have to go to a police station? I'm not a criminal. And this only didn't happen once, but twice from a different video. And I don't want to get into troubles like these. I don't want to be targeted. And many people like make fun of. There is this place called Silivri in Turkey. It's a place where there's a big jail, just like Gulag in Russia. And whenever you make a slightly offensive joke about conservatives who are in power in Turkey or the government, they would our followers would comment, "Hey, be careful! I heard that Silivri is cold. Hey, you're about to go to Silivri, bro. Relax, tone it down."
So when you get to the police station, like, so they tell you that somebody's complained about you, or they say that we've seen this video.
They want a statement from me, so the prosecutor could decide whether or not if it's okay to sue me. And the police officers, they actually know me. They were friendly, but nonetheless, it's not. I don't want to be there. I don't want to be in a Turkish police station. I don't want to be in a Canadian police station. I'm not a criminal. I didn't do anything wrong. Why should I come there? And if I don't come there, they're going to drag me down there. And if they decide to prosecute me, if I was in Turkey, I would have to go again from another video, a video that I made how order followers, basically police and military. I was giving examples from Nazi Germany. I translated a video from Larkin Rose. It's not even that me saying it. I just translated to Turkish. And then somebody reported me as "How to Kill a Police Officer." And that's not the title of the video. And then we haven't heard back from them, so I guess they're not going to prosecute me. But it's not like I am saying that. I'm just showing the video, and the video doesn't say anything like, show anything like, oh, you have to kill or do this or do that. I was just trying to show them that following orders is not a virtue. Following government orders blindly is not a virtue, because that's what I think ruined Turkey. And
So is that what you see going on in Canada now? And I guess my last question to you before, because we were almost at an hour here. Not that it matters, I mean, but what I want to ask you, like, do you see the stuff happening here that could lead to how it is in Turkey? Like people just blindly obeying the government and thinking everything they do is okay. And now that they've got this reason, which is the coronavirus, is that what you see? What's the reason in Turkey that everybody believes the government can do no wrong there, or that they side with them all the time? Is it fear? What's the reason? And so that's my question. Why do they act like that in Turkey? And do you think Canada or Ontario particularly is headed in that direction?
I think it's there's many factors, but it's a little bit of culture. Turkish people love their, culture. Their, they're not ashamed of their ancestors and what they did, and none of that. So they're very, very in peace with that. So when they see the government, I mean, 50% of the country doesn't support Erdogan, but the other 50% does, and the 50% does are usually from the villages of Turkey, the areas that are not the biggest cities. 5 biggest cities in Turkey, they don't support Erdogan. In the last election, Erdogan's party lost all of these 5 big cities: Istanbul, Izmir, Bursa, Antalya, Ankara, even the capital. So the young generation is waking up. But what was your question again? I rambled so much.
It's okay.
Oh, yes, I remember now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's because of education. They're hiding knowledge from people. As you know, Wikipedia was banned for many years in Turkey. YouTube was banned for many years in Turkey. Twitter, Facebook, they can shut it down whenever they want. And there are thoughts that you're not allowed to have or express. So everyone is just staying quiet. People who want to oppose are afraid to oppose. They don't want to lose their jobs. And then people who support it are mostly supporting it because they believe the government propaganda and the media, that the Turkish government actually is Turkish. And because majority of the country is Muslim, because Erdogan always, uses words like inshallah, mashallah, and, always talks in favor of Palestine and other, Islamic countries, they think, oh yeah, he's the Islamist guy. He reads Quran. He goes to the prayer every Friday. He's using the religion as an excuse. And then people think that, oh, this guy's with us, from us. He's standing against the world. And although we're suffering immense we're in an economic crisis. We're all below the poverty line. We can't buy an Xbox for our children. We can't even buy a car. But hey, it's all worth it because we're standing up against the West. We're standing up against the United States. We're standing up against the kafir. So it's all worth it. We're an independent country. Weehoo! Yeah, this price is worth to pay. And they think that one day Turkey is gonna become the superpower and everything's gonna be fine under Erdogan. Erdogan has been around for 20 years. This guy changed the constitution to keep staying in the power. Like he changed the country from parliamentary democracy to presidential system, which he sold it to people. Oh, it's going to be like the American system, which is not. He has ultimate authority. He has the ultimate say. He's the most powerful, unchecked authority in Turkey. So, yeah, in Canada, what we're seeing is now, what I saw in the protest basically was very similar to what we see in Turkey. For example, there are many videos. There's one video that I especially want to mention. There's one socialist lady herself on public property protesting the city hall for firing her. And although she's only one person, and although I'm not socialist or I don't favor any, I'm an individualist. But when I saw the footage of that one lady just standing there and, making her protest, 30 police officers rushes, like with full armor and all that, grab her, and then took her away while the public just watches. I'm like, really? Why won't you just let her voice like that? That never happened. I never saw that in Canada. So I would always compare Canada. I was always compare Turkey to Canada, and I would say, guys, look, you have freedoms, you have individual rights. Look at Canada, look at United States. But today, what happened? Yesterday, what happened in Dundas Square? It seemed very much like in what they do in Turkey, and you can see the police officers would grab. One police officer would grab from left arm, the other right arm, legs. They would just take you away. And what you're doing, you're protesting, you're on a sidewalk. You haven't done harm to nobody. And they would pick on you randomly. And most of the people they picked on was women, and you saw an old lady. It's a very sad thing to see in Canada.
I think a lot of the stuff that you said about Turkey and about why people believe in the system there and what's going on, I think if you just replace the word Turkish government with coronavirus, it's almost exactly the same thing. You can't talk. Try to be on camera. You can't talk about it. You can't disagree with it. You can't protest against it.
Exactly, because if you disagree with it, you're disagreeing with the Turkishness, with the culture, with the community, with our public safety, with our, public, our interest in the international stage, our future. Just trust the plan. Just trust Erdogan. He will set it right. Even if you don't agree with him, he's our president. Just respect him. That's the mentality.
Yeah, and people are afraid if they don't wear a mask, they're going to lose their jobs. If they speak against some of the lockdown stuff, they're gonna be ostracized. But a lot of the stuff, like you said, blocking off Wikipedia and blocking off YouTube, that's what they're doing now. Is they're taking everything off, and I think that it's very hard. I mean, it's hard for me to tell because I'm so immersed in politics, but I often think about the random person who's looking at Snapchat stories or Instagram stories. I wonder how much of the stuff that they just believe wholeheartedly. Like I had a talk with somebody. This is probably at least a year ago, and they were saying that they think Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is one of the good politicians. The rest of them are bad, but she's one of the good ones. And it's like, you must be. Like, I don't know what you're watching. Are you exactly
right?
So these are the ones that are pushed to people.
Like, what kind of echo chamber are you in?
Yeah, and I think that you started to see people break out of that recently. But when the government, like, I was retweeting our coworker Dave earlier for his coronavirus statistics, and just saying, by him mentioning how many people are on ICU and ventilators, he's already in one tweet giving more information to the public than the actual government is doing when they're taking away people's jobs and causing lockdowns. And I just think it's crazy. So before I go ahead.
Please go on. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, before I let you go, I was going to promote us a little bit more. Did you have something else you wanted to say?
Oh, I was just going to say that there's an economic philosopher that I like very much, Hans Hermann Hoppe, and he asked this question: is there a nation that has become richer by just printing more money? And what the politicians are doing by spending our money on this virus, this crisis. I'm not a virus denier. Yeah, COVID-19 exists, but it's not as dangerous as how the government is reacting to it. I think it's an overreaction. So it's a costly overreaction. It's going to cost us a lot. It's going to force us to print more money, more tax, and it's going to decrease our standards of living. For what? For overreacting to a virus.
For sure.
That's all I'm going to say.
So if you want to follow Mocha on Twitter, you can. Instagram, it's 9Mocha. Of course, we're both on Rebel News, where you'll see our stuff all the time. I'm going to try to start making videos. We just had a lot of backlog from the break. And of course, you want to go to patreon.com/Andrew Says. You can support me there. A couple of comments we have here. My man Mocha, we'll go ahead and show that one. Just
thank you. Respect.
Hall of Mirrors played. I'm not sure what that means. I'll have to look that up. Great interview, says Sherry. Thank you, Sherry. I have a Patreon if you want to go to it. I just showed it. Hey, there it is again. Sherry, go ahead if you like me. And the last thing we'll leave on is this question. Andrew, is there a firm number on death due to the vaccine in Canada? No, there is not. And on that subject, I want to say that I don't think that people getting harm or whatever it is, defects, death from these vaccines, I don't think that's a great talking point. And of course it's bad. And of course you shouldn't want to put something in your body that you don't want or may not need. But the reason I don't think that's a good talking point is because just because this vaccine, which is admittedly rushed, admittedly pushed through without testing on humans, and I don't think animals either, but I could be wrong on that part. The reason I don't think that's a good argument is because there are tons of vaccines out there for all sorts of things that people really need. Maybe there's ones that people don't need, but there's always going to be side effects. There's always going to be a tiny margin of people who get defects or injured by it. And we don't pay attention to those at all. Just like we don't pay attention to the flu numbers or the pneumonia numbers every year. And all of a sudden we're hyper focused on the coronavirus deaths. It's going to seem way more out of control when you focus on it. Just like when people talk about unarmed people being shot by police. When CNN's focused on 5 stories of black guys getting shot by police, it's going to seem like there's a terrible problem out there when the number is actually 9 in 2019. So when you're hyper focused on something like coronavirus deaths or vaccine deaths, then you're going to think it's a huge problem. Just don't get the vaccine. Hopefully that's not forced upon you. Get it if it makes you feel safer. But focusing on 2 people dying from the Moderna one, 2 people dying from the Pfizer one, it's not a great talking point because we're hyper focused on it, and people are going to use that to further whatever their agenda is. And you have to be evenly critical on both sides of the aisle. I can't watch CNN and call it trash and then turn on Fox News and see how they were extremely quick to turn on Trump as soon as the election results didn't go his way. You can't go, you have to apply it evenly. So that's my only point there. And 50, he says 57 so far in the US. I'm asking if anyone knows in comparison. It's a question. Sure. All I did was want to talk about it. Sorry. What is your major, sir? I mean, are you a student in Canada or something? You want to answer that? I could probably answer that for you.
I recently graduated from Humber College, broadcasting, videography, and now I'm full-time employed at Rebel News. So this is my first year working full-time.
And how do you like it compared to being a YouTuber?
Oh,
I mean, you still kind of are, but
it's much better. Yeah, it's much better. I get to go to really interesting places and report on very important things that mainstream media doesn't report on. For example, the protest that happened yesterday where our civil liberties were being eroded. One of the first protests that were being shut down by the police after the stay-at-home order, which is a significant thing because mainstream media was saying, oh, it's not, they were criticizing it. Oh, how are they going to enforce it? It doesn't give police any powers. And then you have this happening. So it's embarrassing to not to see CBC there, not to see other news big outlets. But hey, the more they turn a blind eye, the more that I will be there, and the more it will, people would decide which news company is worthwhile.
I completely agree. Eyes are only getting pointed at us more and more as the mainstream media fails, and they need the government's assistance to survive, and we don't. So that's it, you guys. Thanks for watching me and Mocha. Hopefully we can do this again.
Hopefully.
We'll see you later.